Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Today is the 11th day of the reading of the Dosapavan Vaishnav, 252 Vaishnavas, disciples of Sri Gosaiji, Sub Vaishnavan ko Jai Shri Krishna. Starting with, this is day 11, Varta 2 Krishna Bhatt, part 9. Once on the occasion of Vasant Panchami, the start of the spring season and festival, part of the 4th day of the calendar was still current. Krishna Bhatt was unaware of this. On that day in Ujjain, Krishna Bhatt in his house set up the arrangements for the holy play. After he had accepted back the Rajbhog offerings as prasad, Krishna Bhatt began to play holy with his Sri Thakurji. At that very time, Sri Gosaiji on the Giriraj mountain in Natadwara in Sri Natadwara was offering pan to Sri Govardhanaji after having accepted back the offerings as prasad. At that time, Srinathji gave the priest Ram Dasji a vision of the holy play. Ram Dasji approached Sri Gosaiji and said, "O Maharaj, in whose house did Srinathji play holy today?" Sri Gosaiji replied, "Today Srinathji has played holy with Krishna Bhatt in Ujjain." Some days later, Krishna Bhatt came to Gokul and after bowing to Sri Gosaiji, sat down. Sri Gosaiji asked him on which day he had played holy with the Lord. Krishna Bhatt told him the day. Sri Gosaiji stated that the date had been mixed 4th and 5th day of the lunar month, and that it had been that day when he had played Vasant with his Sri Thakurji. Srinathji himself actually came to your house to play holy. On that day in the Rajbhog Seva, Srinathji told this to myself and revealed this to Ramdasji, the priest of the inner sanctum. Srinathji told Ramdasji that it had been in your house that holy was played. Today I am finding this out. From now on, be more careful with your interpretation of the festival dates. Bhav Prakash. Why? Sri Acharyaji keeps strict rules about the Seva of the Lord. Festivals should be celebrated on good and pure days after consulting the astrology of the planets. This is because only the best and most pure can be offered to Srinathji. The Lord can't wait to play holy, and he runs to wherever it is being played in the way prescribed in Sri Acharyaji's path. Sri Gosaiji showed Krishna Bhatt that on that wrong day, Srinathji had to go all the way to Ujjain, and his botheration should be considered. The other principle revealed here is that Srinathji himself goes to those places where his pastimes are being celebrated with love. Part 9 continued. Krishna Bhatt piped up, "O Maharaj, I did it unknowingly. I will not do it again. From now on, I will be very careful about the dates of the festivals, etc." After this, Sri Gosaiji used to send the proper and complete calendar of the year's festivals to Krishna Bhatt, who followed it in his own home in Ujjain. Krishna Bhatt returned home to Ujjain after spending quite some time with Sri Gosaiji. Sri Gosaiji was always blessing Krishna Bhatt with such advice and understanding. Whilst Krishna Bhatt was staying with Sri Gosaiji, his daily routine was to have the holy sight of the early morning Mangala Aarti and then to cross to the far bank of the Sri Yamuna river. He would go to the Varta lake and perform his ablutions and bath, etc., and then return to Sri Gosaiji by the time of the Rajbhog period of Seva. He would come to Gokul to have the sight of Sri Gosaiji in this way on a regular basis. One time, Neel Chand Bhai accompanied Krishna Bhatt to Gokul to see Sri Gosaiji. This is part 10. And one day, Krishna Bhatt and Nihal Chand Bhai were going from Gokul towards Mahavan. They caught sight of an isolated cave on the way. They went close to it and sat there. Finding the place to be salubrious, they began to speak of the Lord's pastimes. They were there for a whole 3 days. They forgot their bodies, so immersed were they in the bliss of the divine stories. On the 4th day, Sri Gosaiji was sitting in his betak after the Rajbhog Aarti. Many Vaishnavas came there to pay their respects. Sri Gosaiji inquired of them, "I have not seen Krishna Bhatt nor Nihal Chand Bhai for 3 days. Have you seen them?" The Vaishnavas said they had also not seen them for 3 days. Sri Gosaiji told them to go on the road to Mahavan and climb up a hill to try to see them, and to bring them back to him if they found him. The Vaishnavas all set out towards Mahavan to try to find him. When they went up the hill, they caught sight of them sitting in front of that cave. The Vaishnavas approached them and told them that Sri Gosaiji had summoned them because he had not seen them for 3 whole days, and he was now remembering them hearing what the Vaishnavas had to say. Krishna Bhatt and Nihal Chand Bhai got up and returned to Sri Gosaiji immediately and bowed down to him. At that moment, Sri Gosaiji had just finished his prasad and was eating. And was eating some pan leaves. Sri Gosaiji asked them, "Oh, you have come?" They supplicated Sri Gosaiji, "You were remembering us, so why would we not come?" The two of them paid their respects to Sri Gosaiji and returned to where they were staying. Sri Gosaiji had recognized the state of their hearts and so did not ask them anything. He is, after all, the inner witness. That is why he sent the Vaishnavas to fetch them back. Not long after, Krishna Bhatt and Nihal Chand Bhai took his leave and came back to Ujjain. The two of them were recipients of his grace and accomplished Vaishnavas. Part 11. In Gokul, Sri Gosaiji would give discourses on the Sri Subodhiniji. The Vaishnavas got to hear his discourses. Two Vaishnavas from among them did not understand what he said. They asked him, "O Maharaj, we hear the discourses that you give, but we do not understand. What can we do to solve our confusion?" Sri Gosaiji told them to ask some other Vaishnavas, but still their questions were not answered. He told them to go to Krishna Bhatt, for he would be able to allay their doubts. The two Vaishnavas set off for Ujjain on Sri Gosaiji's instructions. When they arrived, Krishna Bhatt had just made the lunchtime offerings to his Sri Thakurji and was outside on the porch reading his daily texts. Krishna Bhatt got up to greet them. He was very happy to see them, especially since Sri Gosaiji had sent them. Krishna Bhatt greeted them with the Lord's name and sat them down. Suddenly he recited one verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam and then explained it to the Vaishnavas. He explained its inner meaning. As soon as they heard it, the two Vaishnavas' doubts were dispersed. Bhavprakash. The question that arises here is that when Sri Gosaiji explained it to them, they still did not understand. But they did when Krishna Bhatt explained it to them. Why was this? This verse is from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the chapter entitled The Song of the Flute. This verse reads, "Exhibiting before their mental eyes an exquisite form resembling that of an actor on the stage, adorned with a crest of peacock feathers, wearing karanikara flowers on his ears, a wreath of flowers of 5 different colours and a golden cloth around his lips, and filling the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips. The Lord entered Vrindavan, charming with his footprints around, found at every step. His glory being sung by hosts of cowherd boys." Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21-5. Sri Gosaiji had explained this verse as describing the Lord's form. However, they were attached to Sri Gosaiji's form and therefore were not able to be satisfied by his explanation. They still had doubts. Sri Gosaiji then sent them to Krishna Bhatt, who immediately used this verse to describe Sri Gosaiji's form. How? This verse contains the full description of the Lord's divinely decorated form, which generates the heartfelt mood of excitement. Steeped in this very mood, Krishnadas nicely described Sri Gosaiji's form. Sri Gosaiji reigns within the heart of Krishna Bhatt. Through him, Sri Gosaiji revealed his spiritual form to those two Vaishnavas, and their questions were answered. Next is part 11 continued, but here we will take rest for today. And Jai Shri Krishna, Sab Vaishnavan ko Sab Prem Sadar, Jai Shri Krishna. Shri Vallabhadisha ki Jai, Shri Gosaiji ki Jai ho. Do Sobhavan Vaishnav ki Jai ho. Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.